What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of GLE. Phil here. Excited today for my guest. But first, if you haven't shared the show, we only grow by word of mouth. You probably heard me saying this a lot, but it's true. You know, word of mouth is powerful. It's the most powerful form of marketing. Still, to this day, believe it or not, people you know and love and trust have a tremendous influence over the things you look into, are interested in, and pay attention to. And so, you know, if you are listening to the show out there, if you get value from the show, please share the show. Share it out with somebody who can get value too. And we sure would appreciate it. On today's show, we have an absolute rock star, social media lead expert. I'm probably doing her injustice with my intro because she has tremendous skills when it comes to utilizing the tools of social media to help you build your brand, build your influence, and get out there in the social media verse. Specifically focused pretty heavily on the LinkedIn side. We'll probably talk a lot about LinkedIn today. And I'm just super pleased to have with me the founder of Elisa Bennett Media, Elisa B. Bennett. Welcome to GLE.
Phil Swanson in the house.
Let's go.
Thanks for having me, Phil. We had such a great conversation before. I wish everybody could hear it. I'm just loving your room, the way that it's set up and everything. You look great. We met on LinkedIn and you just had a voice for radio, but you're the full package, the full meal deal. You got your own podcast and everything. So I'm honored that you invited me along.
Well, thank you very much for those compliments. And I really enjoyed our initial conversation when we first connected. You know, that was one of the reasons I asked you on. I just really admired and was impressed with, you know, the things you had to offer and the things you do, because, you know, what you do is not easy. And obviously that's why people are looking for the things your company has to offer. And I thought it'd be really good for, especially my listeners. I know a lot of them are in the corporate world, they're in the entrepreneur space, they're out there on social media, they're networking, they have a lot of value in those types of activities. And so, you know, I thought it'd be a really good opportunity to bring someone like yourself on to just talk a little bit about tips and tricks and ways to improve their, I guess, personal brand and outreach on social media. So before we get into that, let's hear your story. How the heck did Elisa B. Bennett get into this world?
Well, right out of college, I went to work for IBM, and my background is sales. So organizational marketing, communication in college, sales all my life. Clients expected you to show up and tell you how to spend their money. So from a salesperson's perspective, that is the very best source of leads, right? Can you imagine? You know, I was working in San Francisco and working at 3Com, Bank of America, all these major accounts. And they're like, what should we do? Tell us how to give you money. Mm-hmm. Yay. So then I went to Manhattan. I worked in New York City with a very famous hair colorist. I studied with her and helped her to publish a book and helped her with sales and different things like that. But her business was premium, existing. Like she'd been there for 20 plus years. So she had a full clientele. Have you ever heard of Paul Mitchell?
I have.
Okay, Paul Mitchell Hair Care. Paul's son, Angus Mitchell, when Paul passed away, there's John Paul DeJoria, the billionaire that we think of as Paul Mitchell. And then there's Angus Mitchell. He's the co-owner now of Paul Mitchell Systems. He asked me to come out and launch his Beverly Hills Salon brand. So when we launched, of course, no clients, right? So I dropped an ad and in 12 hours sold out of 400 seats. Now, this was in 2008 when online marketing, you know, the internet and everything was just starting to have its upswing. I knew the possibility, brick and mortar, walking by the front of a building, there's only so many people you can grab and push in into your business. So that got me the taste of the crack that is the online world. And so when Angus decided to launch his car museum for his car collection, and my passion being business development, I was able to break away and launch my own marketing agency.
Very cool.
For my marketing agency, we launched with email, and it was good, but I was always kind of 80%, looking for my next lead, that sort of a feeling.
Mhm.
And something just told me LinkedIn. Once I turned on my LinkedIn campaign, first of all, on an email lead, it's 3 conversations before they stop saying, who are you? What's this about? And with LinkedIn, because of the way we can position ourselves, and like you say, how important networking is, there's
Mhm.
just a whole different feeling with a LinkedIn conversation. It's basically the best source of leads, the closest to that IBM, tell me how to spend my money conversation, which of course there's no source of leads like that.
Right, right.
That you can get as a business owner like you and I are. So,
I'm sure those banks are, maybe they spend a little too much money on advertising because they seem to be struggling these days. I don't know if
who?
you've heard anything about some of
The
these
banks?
these
Oh,
banks
yeah.
going out of business.
Yeah. I was listening to some of the financial stuff that you were saying, to spend 5% on a house versus 20. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, I need some of that financial to wash over me for sure.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So let's talk a little bit about getting into people's DMs. And
Yeah.
you mentioned LinkedIn's probably the best of the social platforms. 100% agree with
Yes.
that. But you still get a lot, and it's no wonder people get annoyed with people reaching into them in direct messages. They call it spamming, or
Yes.
you get these just I'd say probably lazy, untrained, unprofessional individuals that they just blast a total stranger with a message. They don't really have any idea if that individual is even interested in what they have to offer, and you get it and you're like, what is this? Like, I'm not interested in this. Why are you sending me this message? Who are you? Right? There's no context there. And so I have a buddy, you may know him, Mike Fallett. He's a founder of Dream Starters Publishing. I don't know if you ever thought
Okay.
about writing a book. If anybody listening out there is thinking about writing a book, let me know. I'll get you connected with Mike, and I'd love to be the connection that gets you published as a best-selling author. But Mike posted recently, I think he was in like this famous author Seth Godin. He had an email campaign that ended up reaching out to Seth, and apparently Seth made some comment that you're better than spamming people, Mike, or something like that, because he got an email marketing message from Mike. And I was talking to Mike about it, and it's just like, man, I think business owners are just out of touch with the ground. Not all of them, but many can get out of touch with what it takes to actually build momentum and start a business from nothing. And I kind of come from an attitude of like, anybody out there trying to do better for their family, like, I really admire them.
Yeah.
And I commend them. Like, yeah, there's unprofessionalism and training, and that stuff's annoying, but there's also total criminals and scammers out there too, which you need to be wary of. But just talk. I know I rambled on there for a little bit, but talk for a minute for us, Elisa, about your perspective on just, how is it professional strategy to use those platforms like LinkedIn to network? Like, how can you do that professionally?
Well, first of all, you just hurt my heart talking about Seth going after somebody,
I know,
because
right? He wrote a book on it, right?
Seth is a major brand, and I just don't think of him as somebody that would go after somebody that wasn't his peer or above him, if that makes sense. I mean, I think of Seth as one of the marketing gods, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's just very sad to me. I think it's very difficult for some people to reach out because they're so worried about that one person that's going to say no. But this is how I like to phrase it to people who are challenged and worried about getting out there. Like, you and I are introverts, which doesn't seem like it's true, but it's true.
Yeah.
You and I would rather be off somewhere hiding out,
Isn't that funny?
with our family or whatever.
Why are we talking on a podcast, Elisa? What are we doing?
Because we don't think we are. We're just on this camera talking to one person. We are completely oblivious to the reality of the world that we live in. And that's the thing, is that we've got a business mind, and we know that with AI coming out as strong as it is, it's important to differentiate yourself as an actual human. And that's having a thought leadership brand. It makes the sales process much, much easier for you. But for those people who are having such a hard time, I've heard of people launching an entire marketing campaign, and one person said, "How dare you reach out to me?" And they axed the whole thing.
What?
So this is the mindset that I tell people is, sometimes you go into a store and people come up to you and they say, "Can I help you?" And you say, "I wish this person would leave me alone." And another day you walk into a store, nobody asks you if they can help you, and you're mad about that too. So just take it with a grain of salt. Don't be a lazy marketer. And that's what you said. People are lazy. They send out this bad messaging. They don't position themselves well, meaning they don't take into consideration their social media profile that they're messaging from. Maybe they hire some people that they pay $2 and they're getting $2 results, which can damage the brand. So sorry, I got a little passionate.
No, that's good. It's exactly right. I know, some of the things you mentioned they hit close to home because, I've found some extremely valuable connections through social media and LinkedIn, and it's amazing the tools. I mean, you think these days, right? Like people can actually find their spouse on the internet, and it used to be like kind of frowned upon, and now it's like extremely common that people met online and got married. And then it's like, some people are shocked that someone wants to reach out to them and try to find a business partner or a customer or whatever, a client. And, they're like, "Man, why are you reaching out to me?" But I think the perspective of the human interaction is great, right? That perspective of why is it any different than someone coming up to you in a store? And
exactly.
I think, what would you say back to somebody you might rebut? Just play devil's advocate for a second. I hate devil's advocate, by the way, but I'll do it. I'll do it to you anyway.
If you hate it, I'm in. Let's do it.
So the argument I think people might make is, well, they walked into the store, so at least to some level they're willing, right? And so is being out there the same as being in the store? Like just being on social in general, right? Is that like the same as being inside a store where someone would walk up to you and say, "Hey, can I help you with something?"
In a sense, it is for LinkedIn specifically over all other platforms in this regard. LinkedIn was originally designed as a place to get a job. And what's the opposite of getting a job? Getting a client, right?
Right.
So the whole topic and the vibe of everything that's going on LinkedIn is business growth, business development, which is networking. It's networking on steroids. It's the world's best networking party is inside of LinkedIn. And at COVID, everybody realized it. They just flooded LinkedIn so hard that LinkedIn was like, "Whoa, Nelly."
Right.
So,
yeah, I think you're exactly right. So let's talk a little bit about, just some ways people can differentiate themselves. I've heard people be critical, maybe of the folks that pay for, featured in Forbes, and apparently you can pay for stuff like that these days. What do you think about strategies like that, and how are they effective? Do they actually help people get traction and get reputation built?
Well, you're being kind and not trying to out the fact that I did pay for some media that I was represented in. So anytime that you have been published somewhere, you need to have that front and center. I get with my clients all the time, and they've got some book that they publish that's on the 11th page of their website.
Oh, wow.
Put a picture of that book on your banner. Your banner is the world's best on LinkedIn, is the world's best free billboard. credibility, like you were saying earlier, know, like, and trust, it's so important. And the way that we get through to that know, like, and trust is let people know, hey, we've got these people said this great stuff about us. These are the things I've done before. If you were on Forbes and it's not in your banner, then maybe you're too cool and you don't need clients, and maybe you're just taking a nap.
Right.
I don't know what you're doing. But it's basically money that you're just sitting on. So why not?
Yeah, it's interesting. It seems kind of funny that people would be critical of it because, people pay for advertising all the time, right? And a lot of the folks that are featured, it's because they they're part of some deal with somebody, or somebody's getting a kickback of something they're selling. And you think about like record industries, media, any famous artist, really, right? Like the people that get really big, yeah, they're super talented, they make good music, but before the internet and all the modern ways of getting music produced and out to the world, right, there were like the gatekeepers of who's going to make it and who's not going to make it, right? And the people that made it, they made it, but they also got a big kickback to all the people that gave them the platform, right?
Well, you start somewhere, so you have that first step. So being on LinkedIn is the easiest place to network, and you can get people coming out to you to be featured on podcasts, on, television shows, all sorts of things. Come speak at my event, all of these things. So yes, of course, if you spoke at an event, why not take a picture of yourself with a microphone? That's another authority element that, not everybody is comfortable enough to speak in front of an audience. Not everybody is comfortable enough to write a book. You can pay someone to write a book for you. You can do it on AI right now, not at the level that I would say to let it run wild, but yeah, just whatever it is that you are doing, make sure to feature it, and that can lead to more things that happen organically.
Elisa, what makes people so afraid to promote themselves? This is something I've really struggled with, especially, as I've grown, put the podcast out. You put yourself out there initially. What am I even going to talk about? Now I'm out there. Now I got to stay consistent out there. There's all this pressure now. And then you really kind of begin to build a voice, and not, you get to a point where it's like, okay, I really need to do this and step out there and do some of those things, like promote yourself. And it can be uncomfortable, and I speak from experience there. So what can people do to help themselves kind of get over their themselves, insecurities, all that stuff, and really put themselves out there?
Well, first of all, you need to find out your temperament. While you and I are both more introverted, I would say not as introverted as some people. So you have to figure out, is content creation and if that's what you're talking about, promote yourself, is that like us being on a podcast right now, or are you talking about something else?
Yeah, being on a podcast, say you have an offer, right? You want to try to like launch a business, and you actually have a product or service to offer somebody, like really putting it out there and saying like, hey, like lots of people are getting in the coaching space, for instance, right? And it's like, okay, well, how much am I going to charge for coaching? Is my time worth $100 an hour? Is it worth $500 an hour? Like when am I ready to put myself out there and say like, my time's worth this, right? Like what have you do you have experience working with people that have gone through that, and what
That's what I do.
Yeah.
So what I like to say is, you don't want to jump from this side of the Grand Canyon to this side of the Grand Canyon. So for instance, people come to me sometimes and they say that they want leads, right? And then I say, how many clients do you have? And they say, I have this idea over here. And I say, go get a client. You cannot build a business with leads. Right. So you need to first of all figure yourself out, get it going enough to be able to go to a networking event and get somebody to buy your stuff.
Right.
And if you can't do that, get someone to have it for free so that you have the experience of going through that motion. So it's baby steps. You think, I want to have an agency with 200 people, doing 400 sales a day. You're not going to do that from ground one. So you baby step yourself to whatever that next step is. And then the question can be, do I want to commit the rest of my life to content creation? Which that's kind of what you're doing, Phil. Once you decide to have a podcast, your end goal is Joe Rogan and beyond, right?
There you go. Yeah, I see.
Yeah. So
if you're going to do a podcast, by the way, sorry to cut you off. If you are going to do a podcast, you better be in it for at least 2 to 5 years. Like I almost say business, podcast, anything. If you're not willing to grind for 5 years, like don't even bother. Don't waste your time.
Yeah. So content does take a good 6 to 12 months to really get sticky, but the benefit of it is that it makes your sales go much better. People start reaching out to you. It gives you more of that IBM, tell us how to spend our money vibe. So the question is, would you like to have a much easier time, much less salespeople, more people reaching out to you, be able to charge higher ticket? And then at the extreme of that, at the Joe Rogan level of that, at the Kardashian level of that, would you like people coming to you to give you money just to put your name on stuff eventually? So there's just, you just want to have the advice of someone that can look at where you're at, what your immediate goal is, and give you the best recipe based on your tolerance. Because you might think that you want to create content, but really what you want to do is, have 100 accounts sending messages out on LinkedIn and having somebody else following up on those and booking them and somebody else closing them. I mean, what's your budget? What's your individual unique situation? But that didn't answer your question of how do you get people to get off their and get out there. So you just, I think once you see the benefit of what can happen and you buy into it and you're excited about that, that's what's going to take you on that 3 to 5 year journey. If it seems really depressing to you, you're not going to stick with it.
Right. Yeah. That's so true. And I honestly, like, it will be depressing and really hard and very discouraging at times. Like, that's just the real truth. And if you're not, if you're going to do it, I really mean this from the bottom of my heart, like 2 to 5 years, like I would say 5, be willing for it to not go as you think it's going to go for 5 years, and just be willing to keep consistently doing the work. Right. It's it's funny that just doing that, I guarantee have experienced this or are still learning this as a founder, right? Starting your own business from the bottom up, right? From the ground up is not an easy undertaking. Is it, Elisa?
No, it is not a destination. It is a journey.
100%. It is not easy either. I think lots of people glorified the whole entrepreneurship thing. And, I definitely think that there's this idea that, with business ownership comes all this freedom and stuff. And that is true to some degree, but there's a lot of benefits that go along with being an entrepreneur too. And, working within a company and, being able to step away at night and be with your family. And, when you're an entrepreneur, it's you. I mean, the business is on you to make it grow. Right. And that includes, though, building a team of good people that can help you.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah. The better the people that you can surround yourself with, the better your results are going to be. And from the JOB perspective, if you can find an organization that does have profit sharing, and does have a good team and nobody's, harassing you and there's no weird stuff going on, that might be the better option financially and every other way. It depends on why you would even want to be an entrepreneur in the first place. And if you have the passion and the excitement for it, because we're not all built with the DNA of all the steps that you have to do to scale and grow a business to get the results of having what you could also have with a great job. So
100%. Yeah. Some of these topics, I'll probably sound like I'm quoting Andy Frisella. I listen to a lot of Andy Frisella. I don't know if you know Andy, but the one thing that comes to mind is most people think a business is all about profit. Well, what's the purpose of a business? To make money. And that's totally wrong. Why would you want to start a business? It's to solve somebody's problem, right? Your business solves a problem for someone else. And if you solve that problem well and better than other people, then you're going to get compensated for it. The world will pay you what you earn for solving that problem. Right. And, I think, if you're thinking about getting into business, make sure you have a really important why behind it, because that's going to carry you through those hard times. Like we were just talking
I've never
about.
gotten my why, Phil. Everybody says to do the why. I don't have a why. Well, okay, maybe I just found my why.
You don't have your why?
Let me see if this it just popped into my head, is that if I don't have an outlet to help people, I'm irritating everyone around me at the grocery store, whatever place I'm at, telling them what they should do and how they should be doing it. So having something that I uniquely excel at over other people. And then also the part where what I do can change someone's life, can give them I had a client, she came to me, she had 2 partners she was launching a business with, and then she had this side gig. She was making $30K with a coaching and a coaching business for career people that were looking for career changes. And she's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to keep it or not. Let's just try it. And I'm okay. Let's just try it. So I set up her campaign. We launched her. She had 20 booked calls the first month. She was so excited.
Wow.
At the end of the first month, I mean, there was some growing pains. She didn't close any of them. I created a little sales module. She popped through. And then the next year she was making $30K a month. So stuff like that it's like a drug.
It's super rewarding, right?
Yeah. I've got a client. She's an award-winning producer, writer. She got some awards that are like the step down from the Oscar for a movie that she wrote and produced. And she has this solution that helps people in 90 days to publish their story, even if they're super, super busy. And for her, it was life-changing, kind of to find her voice, kind of like you're saying. How do you get people to get up and out and share that thing that they're excited about, that how they help people? So I think I should shut up when I say I don't know my why.
No, so I'm actually, it's funny you say that. This morning, I was talking with a couple of the people that coach me, and I'm going through the 16 Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill.
Oh, nice.
And I'm at the point where I'm at the self-confidence formula. And it says, point 4 in the self-confidence formula, I have a clearly mapped out and written down a description of my definite purpose in life. And so it made me even go, because GLE, I mean, I have a pretty clear purpose with what I'm doing with GLE. Yeah. And what we're doing. We're building an international community of strong leaders that embody faith, love, truth, and courage around the world, and really giving people the truth and the courage to stand for it in the face of all sorts of weird stuff going on across our globe, or our realm, I might say. But I literally mentioned to my folks that coached me this morning that I think I need a little work on my definite purpose, because I'm not sure I'm as clear on it as I need to be. I'm pretty, I have a lot of things clear, but I don't think I've finally really nailed it down. So, you're not the only one, Elisa. That was a long way to say samesies. That was a long way of saying samesies.
Very cool.
But how many people out there do you think really have a definite purpose that they've written down? Like maybe half of 1%, maybe.
How many people have a clean house? I don't know. I don't think everybody's got their act together.
Right? Like, yeah. It's I don't think we're the only ones in that boat. So Elisa, one of the questions I love, if y'all aren't following Elisa, go follow her at Elisa, ELISA B Bennett, BENNETT, Elisa B Bennett, on all the platforms. Make sure you check her out on LinkedIn. It's kind of her primary go-to. ElisaBBennett.com. if you want to go to her website as well. But, go follow her. Got some great content. Reach out to her. If you need help with your social media presence and anything related to your business or your brand or what you're trying to do. Elisa, thanks for coming on the show today. I think this has been super fun. One of the things I really like asking people, it's like my favorite question to ask people, because when I started GLE, I started it with the perspective that, I only have one or two, or maybe an old VHS tape of my great grandparents, right? So just a couple generations removed.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about, the whole perspective of our kids' generation, we'll show baby pictures like, hey, here's 20 million baby pictures of you, right? Like they're going to have so much that they could potentially go back and see. And I'm like, man, wouldn't it be cool if I had like catalogs of conversations from my great grandpa? You're talking with cool people, 200 years ago. Like that would be just so cool. Talking about stuff going on in the world, talking about the early days of LinkedIn and social media and all that stuff.
Right.
So, with that perspective in mind, what is the one thing that you would want to leave the GLE network with today?
Oh, the thing that I didn't talk about that I'm so obsessed with is artificial intelligence. So would you say that your people are more content creator focused or in need of, or more sales and close the deal in need of?
Probably all of the above,
Okay.
kind of a wide mix of entrepreneur,
Okay.
artsy type of folks.
So there's two things I'm using right now on LinkedIn to help me with conversations, to get me out there more. Taplio, TAPLIO is something that I'm using to create content with. It will help you to even engage on your ideal client's content.
Oh, wow.
So if you are starting to have conversations, if people are engaging on your content, it will show you who those people are, and you can click a button, and with artificial intelligence, it can start the conversation for you. And
wow.
I put it with a grain of salt. With everybody thinks artificial intelligence is so good or it's not so good. You don't want it to replace you. You want it to inspire you. So I've got Taplio connected, and basically I can have content going 24/7 with very little effort. We're launching an appointment setting arm to follow up with our clients' leads, because that's a place that they're failing. It's one thing to have a Ferrari, but if you're a baby and you can't drive it, then it's kind of a waste.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're getting chauffeurs on the Ferrari and following up with those leads for our clients. So I'm not totally focused on content right now, but we're also going to be launching a strategy where we interview you for once a month, cut it up into little pieces. There's a tool called Munch, like MUNCH. You can take your podcast. You could take, my once a month for an hour interview, stick it into this little video shredder, and it analyzes, using artificial intelligence, the hot, more viral pieces of that video. We'll put it into clips for you. Then you can go and pick out your juiciest, most favorite pieces, and it will also create some supporting content to inspire you.
Wow.
Saves you a ton of time.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's one other tool. So it's called Humantic. Humantic.ai, I believe. HUMANTIC.ai. So what I can do is I can look at your Phil Swanson on LinkedIn, and there's this bar that comes up on the right-hand side, and it shows that you're a planner. 3 to 5 years. That's interesting. And then it just shows.
How do they know this?
What's that?
How does it know?
It's gonna read. If you want a screen share, I can show you what this whole thing looks like.
Not right now.
Not right now. Okay, so that's fine. So how it knows is it's reading everything on your LinkedIn, it's reading your content, and it's also reading your Twitter.
Interesting. I need to get on Twitter. I've never been a tweeter, and now Elon owns it, and it's cool, and everybody's like, Twitter. Apparently, it was cool before too, but I never got on Twitter.
Have you ever heard of Alex Hormozi?
I love Alex. Yeah.
Okay. So Alex Hormozi, for those people that don't know, he had a fitness empire that he sold, and now he scales businesses. Once they hit 3 million, he gives all this free content to get you to that point. And then he wants a piece of the action, 25%. His content strategy, and he's going all in on content right now. Him and Layla Hormozi, his wife, they are spending $40,000 a month on content. And the first step in his content strategy is to go to Twitter and just blah.
Right.
And whatever he blurts out 5 times a day or whatever it is, the ones that are more viral, he'll create bigger pieces of content around it. Right. So, let the market say. And that's the most important thing, is to listen to what your audience says and create content around that. I have a piece of content on LinkedIn that I'm still getting visibility from 2019, just because I listened to what one of my clients said and created a piece of content around it. But this semantic AI, what it'll do is it'll tell me how to talk to you, how long it's going to take to close you, if we're compatible. It will also, if I'm going to write a message to you, it will let me take that message and put it into something that will rewrite it in a way that you'll receive it better.
Oh, wow. There's so much power with AI, and I know it's only going to get greater and greater. It's a pretty incredible tool. Yeah. Absolutely incredible. And, something we're all going to have to familiarize ourselves with before it, puts us in little pods and uses us as batteries, right?
Well, no, what's going to happen is that there's going to be some of us, and hopefully we're good people, who will then.
You think there's good people? Come on.
Well, I know that I exist.
Yeah, right.
You can only see what you are. So I'm just shocked when somebody stabs me 50 times and then they stab me the 51st time. I'm like, what? I'm just making a joke.
Yeah. Well, Lisa, this has been super fun. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Y'all, if you haven't picked up some valuable tips and tricks from Elisa today, you probably weren't listening. Go back, rewind, listen to some of these tips. Taplio Munch, Humantic.ai sound like some awesome tools that if you're creating content, you probably need to check out. I love those kinds of tips and tricks. Like one little tool like that can just make the whole difference in, your life and your lifestyle and your time commitment to doing things that you've wanted to do. Starting this podcast was a conversation with one person who connected me to the right tool to go, hey, it's actually really easy to start a podcast. I'm just going to do it. Right. So knowledge is power only when applied. So if you listen to the show, make sure you take away one thing that you can apply to your life. Go follow Elisa Bennett on LinkedIn, and make sure you share the show. Hope you all have a great day. Go lead everything.